Welcome back to the show, YouTube. Today we will be reviewing the brand new Netflix original movie, The Power of the Dog. But before I get into my review of this movie, please consider this your spoiler warning because I will be talking spoilerish-ish. So let's get on with the review. But before I get on to the review, can we just give Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, can we just give him the Oscar? Because he is trying to win it with the types of roles that he's doing. And he, besides Kevin Hart and The Rock, and let's just take them out of it. I'm going to say in this pandemic era, has anyone been popping out movies like Mr. Cumberbatch? All right, we had The Courier. Even though it was meant to be in 2020, the release date, it was released this year in March in 2021. We had The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne. Then we have this movie, The Power of the Dog. And then we have later this month, a couple of days from now, a couple of days from now, he's basically co-starring with Spider-Man in Spider-Man No Way Home while he's shooting his movie that comes out next year. I mean, it's a wrap. Let's just give it to him. But anyways, that's my little fanboy into Mr. Benedict Cumberbatch's Oscar resume that he wants to. And you can see he's really pushing for it. But anyways, let's get on to this review. I thought this movie was weird. This is based off of a novel, which most now projects and series, movies, books, whatever, most things now are based off these novels that are obscure, that really no one knows, and I don't know anything about this. It felt way too bougie for me. It had a ton of pacing issues. It was good cinematography. It lets it breathe, but some of the shots were like, the movie's beautifully shot, but is it really that's what the movie supposed to be? This movie is being acclaimed as a Oscar nominated or an Oscar worthy film, and I'm like, where? I thought The Courier was way better as far as Cumberbatch. I thought The Life of Louis Wang was better than this, but if he won an Oscar, it should be for The Courier. What he did for that role is Oscar worthy in it by itself. And since it was released in 2021, I think that he should win the award. I don't understand why this is an Oscar worthy movie, besides just maybe the director, which she's known for these kind of things, Jane Champion. But I've never even seen any other movies, and I'm assuming the Academy loves her, but this movie was just all types of bad. It's more of a silent film. There's very little script. There's very little dialogue, and from the looks of it, you have to read the book to even understand this movie, and I hate stuff like that. It's the same thing that I had with Superman's parents, and there's a review on them. I think it was No Way Out or something like that was the name of that movie. And you had to have read the novel to understand the movie. And you're like, well, I'm not going to do that. So why do you shoot it this way without giving us any kind of a synopsis, a runner, just something that educates us to what we're watching. So again, I said already about the pacing issues, about the cinematography. It's a weak script. So basically we get introduced to Doctor Strange's, cowboy-esque, which that's kind of weird anyways, because he's a British actor and I'm used to him playing in these British roles, but he's branching out, right? Like I said, he's building he wants the damn Oscar, so just give him the damn Oscar. He's trying to branch out, and I appreciate that. He is an actor in the truest sense, and he's always going to push himself and stretch himself out of his normality or out of what he's used to, out of his comfort zone, to make himself the best actor, and I'm here for that. I'm not dissing him because he gives a great performance. There's good acting in this movie by everyone involved, with Doctor Strange, with Mary Jane, and I know I'm saying their other, alias's name, but Kristen Dunst, she's in this movie, but I know her as Mary Jane, which most of 80% or 90% of people know her as Mary Jane from the Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. And of course, everybody knows Cumberbatch either from Doctor Strange or Sherlock Holmes. Let's just be frank. So If I say those names, you understand why though. So we get introduced really early on to Kristen Dunst, and we get introduced also to George Burbank, which is Doctor Strange's brother. And George ends up falling in love with, Mary Jane, Kristen Dunst character in this movie, and they have like this weird ass fucking, or she has a weird kid, Peter Gordon, that's played by Cordy Smith McPhee, I think is his last name, but maybe I'm butchering it. And he's really weird. He's into like dissecting animals and stuff like that. But he's just really weird. He makes like these paper flowers that inmates make now in jail. And so there's like a weird relationship why, Doctor Strange character doesn't like Christian Dunst's character, and it's like it doesn't really get fleshed out. It's just because maybe he's abrasive, he's like a man's man. But then we find out that Doctor Strange character in this movie kind of has like a homosexual, homoerotic kind of a thing where I don't know. Like I said, it's not fleshed out correctly, and her son, kind of Christian Dunst's son, Peter Gordon, finds him like bathing and finds like his stash of like 19 or 1890 style porn, where like you have naked men and I don't know. Like I said, it's really weird what the visual that you're trying to get, but you see like there's like he portrays he's a man's man, but in secret he's very in touch with himself. I think there was a scene where he's masturbating and stuff like that, and so it's just like I said, a weird thing. So there was a good part of it towards the end. Kristen Dunst's character has an alcohol problem, but she's drinking because she can't stand Benedict Cumberbatch's character, and she tells this to the son. Now, mind you, it literally the last 2 minutes is where this twist happened, and I mean, it's a clever twist. I didn't see it coming because Benedict Cumberbatch's character starts kind of having a relationship with Kristen Dunst's son, Peter Gordon, in this movie, and you're like, oh wow, it's they end up having like a cordial, and he's teaching Peter how to be a man, and you're like, all right, cool. And even the brother acknowledges and tells Kristen Dunst's character, like, hey, don't be mad at Doctor Strange. He's just showing your son how to be a man, and he taught him how to ride a horse. So, but the kid's very smart. He's into, we see a scene earlier on where he's dissecting a bunny or a rabbit. So he's really into the anatomy of animals. And we keep on hearing earlier about anthrax, and usually it's they back then they would contract anthrax through touching dead animals, right? So in towards the end, like Doctor Strange's character kind of skins animals and keeps the hides and then burns them at the end. And why, we don't really know, but in a revenge, Kristen Dunst's character sells them all to an Indian. So he gets pissed off and stuff like that. So Kristen Dunst's son offers, his carcass because he found like a decaying cow or something like that, and he takes the skin off, and he offers the skin to Cumberbatch's character to finish a rope, because he was making a rope for whatever reason. I think Doctor Strange's character, because he got found out that in his little kind of bathing and stuff like that, he was a little bit embarrassed, or there was some kind of feud between Kirsten Dunst and Benedict, Cumberbatch's character. And again, it's not fleshed out correctly or in a way that it's comprehensible, I guess, or maybe just my, puny brain doesn't understand Oscar-worthy performances or movies or whatever, or scripts. Then I don't understand why they're fighting, but they are. But in the twist, we find out that he kind of hurts his hand while he's teaching his son, or Kristen Dunst's son something, and he gets like this really wicked injury in his hand, and it ends up getting infected, and he ends up dying at the end. And again, it's just 1 minute he goes, he's dead, done, which is really common back in those days. Medicine wasn't really that evolved in the 1904s. So he passes away, and then the doctor tells, Cumberbatch's brother George that he thought it was anthrax. And then, George says, why, how? My brother never handled like infected or dying animals as, carcasses and stuff like that. But it ended up being the carcass that the son did, and he did it in a maniacal way. He didn't do it by mistake. He did it on purpose because he wanted to see his mom happy. And Christian Dunst's character was happy with George Burbank, the brother of Doctor Strange. And so basically, you know, Peter Gordon, the son, eliminated her mom's nemesis by befriending him, understanding how diseases work, gutted a cow, found the cow, a dying carcass, skinned it, and found the opportunity and way, even though it was her mom's drunken escapade. Maybe he like planted the seed in her head, but he literally killed Doctor Strange in the most clever way possible. If you're into these kind of movies, I would recommend it. But anyways, before I continue, that's basically the plot. I'm sure I'm missing some stuff that's important, but honestly, I'm at a loss for words as to how further to describe it. So it was a clever twist to a very boring movie, and I watched it the whole way through expecting it to pick up. It never does. Again, it's just really bad pacing. It's really, it does more bad than good. So for me, this movie was a C minus, and only because of the cinematography and the great acting that Christian Dunst and Benedict Cumberbatch's and everybody involved. Again, nothing with the actors in this movie, but it was a weak script. And if the novel is this bad, how did it become a best-selling novel is beyond me. But I think the novel was written like in early 1900s or 1920s, something like that. So, why they're doing this and, oh, this was popular back then, so we're going to make it into a movie. Yeah, this should have stayed a novel. And I've said that a couple of times in reviews, like, hey, not everything has to be made into a movie or a TV series. And this is one of those other examples of, maybe it should have just stayed a book. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about this movie. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know down in the comments. And like always, that's a wrap.